Today we are talking about Nigeria tax system. We're breaking down the most significant overhaul that has happened in decades in the Nigeria tax system. On June 26, 2025, President Tinubu signed 4 major tax reform bills into law. That is the Nigeria Tax Act, the Nigeria Tax Administration Act, the Nigeria Revenue Service Act, and Joint Revenue Board Act. Together, this known as Tax Reform Act 2025. The goal of this act is to grow the economy, increase revenue, and modernize Nigeria's tax collection system. But the question is, what does this changes? What does it mean for the workers, businesses, and everyday Nigerian? Joining us to have this conversation in the studio is Dr. Temitope Babajide, FCA. She is the past chairman, Ibadan and District Society of ICANN. You're welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Thank you.
It's good to be back here.
Yes. So now you are the expert. And our viewers would like to really understand what this tax laws, what it means to the average Nigerian. So let's begin from the basics. What is your own personal perspective concerning this new tax laws?
Thank you very much. For me, it's a step in the right direction, because most times it's not even good to, we should be able to be dynamic. We should be able to at least change some things. Although there are some that are quite okay, that eases the cost of doing business, everything. But there are some too that are a bit on the high side. But then that's for the people that are high up there. But in all, you look at advantages and disadvantages. There's nothing that you don't have that have advantage that doesn't have the disadvantage. But I think it's a good one. It's a good one in the right direction from the tax committee. It's
okay.
A good one.
Now, one of the major concern of the average Nigeria has been, and why the old bill was delayed up till this moment has been, the economic realities are not looking fine. Are we ripe for this? Is Nigeria a country that can really ensure that the tax will work and all of that? So now, personally, and of course, using your expertise to judge, now, will you say that Nigeria is ripe for this new laws?
Thank you very much. We're looking at the economic conditions and circumstances. It's not only in Nigeria. This what we're going through right now is worldwide. Things are really tough, not even in Nigeria. It is us that we now have a reason to look inwards. Look at how you can up your game, how you can make it, take opportunities of whatever you have on ground. And it's not going to be at least easy in the nearest, we don't see it. Even the different countries that are, different countries that are around us, even if you have maybe relatives that are abroad, when they tell you what they are going through there too, it's not make an honey. But every one of us, we have to now be on our feet. I understand what the governor, president, maybe they are going to, I don't know. My only issue with the governor is just the cost of governance, really. But for the economy, we can see that the economy elsewhere too is not that juicy. But what we now need to do is try and factor in what can be done. We now know it's not a type of, I want to sit down and make money in one business. No, try and see what you can make different streams of income. How you can do this one, how you can come in this, and you can jack this one up. That is what government is doing now by trying to have these tax reforms. Because they feel that maybe funds, maybe revenue, more revenue will come in. You can see that with the Nigerian Revenue Service, they have locked all the other collecting agencies into one.
Yes.
That's all government is trying to do. See how they can get, they can see that money, maybe some places there are loopholes. Let's see what we can do to block the loopholes and let it, so that individual, so that tells us we should be able to sit down. If we have businesses that you see people that are, your sales guy that are maybe feeding fat on you, try and see how you can do to block it. Everybody has to be on their feet right now. Nigeria is not smiling.
Okay, interesting. Now, looking at the new rates, the exemptions, the levies in place, and you also did mention that this new tax law will benefit some and then it will not benefit some. Now, who are the ones that benefit the most? And who are the ones shouldering the biggest burden in this new tax law?
Thank you very much. I think the sets that will really shoulder the biggest burden are the companies that are maybe in the multinationals that are earning about a gross turnover of 50 billion and over. And you can understand that, of course, they are really having, they have so many things that they are dealing with too, because the economy, the what they call the overheads they are taking, that share shouldering is high. But because they have that large quantity of sales, you can see that the total profits, they will have the effective tax rate to pay. They will pay tax, because for this new advanced tax rate now, the companies income tax for companies that are small companies are in the range of maybe companies with turnover between maybe 10 to 100 million. They will not be paying anything. Initially, it's only 25 million that is in that category. Before this tax, yes, as at last, even as at present, it's only companies with turnover up to 25 million. If you have turnover of 50 million in a year, you are going to pay 30% tax. But now, you are not paying anything. So you can see that it favors them too. Even up to 100 million, you won't pay anything. So it favors a set, it will not favor a set. But they are looking at people that are maybe high up. Although, as they are too, they have different things that they are battling with too. But that just tells us that we need to just tune it up a bit. Let different opportunities rear its head. They have to be strategic and maybe look inwards again. Okay.
Now let's begin to break down this act. Under the new act, and of course this is one of the area of that act that the common man seems to be really interested in. Like everyone seems to be asking, what does this mean exactly? And that's the essential goods and services under the VAT that they reduced to 0 rated, and this includes basic food, medicine and pharma products, educational materials, electricity transmission, tuition, medical services, equipment, and non-oil exports. Now the question will be, when we say 0 rated tax, what does this imply?
Simply, as the name says, just that VAT that is supposed to be 7.5% of, there's no VAT on those items because they are categorized as essential. Like somebody that is sick now, that needs drug, you know, it's not it's all good, and it's not even in the Western that those drugs should not be high. So whatever they buy, there will be no input VAT, because whatever they buy, they will just put in their gross profit and sell. Because people that are selling, they will put in their profits, markup profits, and they will still put the VAT rate, because they too they are paying VAT. But on these ones now, they are not paying anything, so there is no VAT on it. So ordinarily, those items should go down because the costs, they are not inputting. There's no VAT item. There's no VAT element in those costs. Even basic food items, I'm not sure anybody puts VAT on those basic food items really all the way from the beginning. So there are some other things. They not put all this electricity and transmission. They're not decided to make it a bit, because that is huge too. So there will be no VAT on those ones, means the prices are supposed to go down. But that is, this Nigeria, most things that goes up, you hardly see it coming down. I don't know why, but I believe one day we'll get there. My hope, I am very optimistic that we'll get there. That one day the prices that are up should just come down. And we know, say, yes, these things they are coming down. Okay, because I mean that has been the major concern. That are we going to experience the prices to go down? Will inflation catch up with it? Like, who is going to monitor all of those things? But then you said that we can only be hopeful that people do the right thing. Now, let's take a look at the corporate income tax. Now, the capital gains have been increased to 30%. It used to be 10% before now. Will this, what does this mean for investors once it's scale of investments in real estate, shares, business estates? Oh, capital gains tax. What is capital gains tax? That is a tax that is on asset disposal. It is when you have disposed a portion of your house or a building or some items that are not used, which are chargeable items. So the tax is on it, is on the profits that you make after the disposal. So it's people that maybe you have used this thing and you're not using it again, or you've gotten another one, you want to dispose that one. I'm not sure it's going to affect investors, because investors will have bought whatever they want to buy to use, but it is not things that you are not more using again, or maybe you want to use it to be able to let it off and get another one, and it is only on your disposal profits that you pay the capital gains tax. If this thing has been bought maybe 100 million initial cost, and you are selling it at maybe, or even if you sell it at a price that is lower, that is a loss. So there will be no capital gain tax on loss. Yes, on loss there will be no capital. But not through the years, you will have done some renovations, you will have some improvements on those items, and maybe you now increase. Even at the point of selling it, if there are some costs that are incidental to making it to be worthy to be sold, like if I have a generator that I want to sell, I know, okay, it's not too good at the point of selling, but I have to now call maybe a repairer, they have to get it pointed, all those costs, I will remove it from the, I will add it to the total cost. Okay. They are not removing from the profit. So the profit at times is not that juicy. And it is where you get the profit that you now charge the 10% on it, which is now 30% that they are charging on it now.
Oh, okay, interesting, because I mean, all of these numbers just seem huge where you don't really understand. Okay, now let's look at also global income tax. This is also something that, I mean, people are saying, oh, why should I have to, if I'm in diaspora, why am I paying the global income tax? Now, will taxing global income discourage Nigerians in diaspora from investing in the country?
I think the wisdom of the government is that people that are abroad too, you have some income that you are making, and most of them, they bring this in. And you know, when government is dealing with when you are filing your tax or whatever, they will go along with your bank statement. Even the bank statement reveals a lot, and even your audited accounts. By the time a company wants to submit your tax returns file, at times they may come in, the tax authority may come in, and they will check. Once they take your bank statement and your audited accounts, it reveals a lot. They find that, okay, so you have been opportune to have this, you have been opportune to have this, and they feel that individuals should be taxed on their global worldwide income. Even the rest, yes, it's your income, because a part of this income at times you remit it back to Nigeria. You come and do businesses in Nigeria, and you are not paying anything on it. I don't know, but in their wisdom, like I said, it's in the medium of the tax committee. Incidentally, the chairman of this tax committee is having a program this afternoon, 2 o'clock, that they want to explain everything, which is the Mr. Taiwo Idile. So I'm sure he will be able to tell us what informed all those things. You know, the bill had been around for a while. The one that I even love is the VAT rate, is the VAT for the states. I know there are some things that are okay there. The people that, it's not people that just sit down and say, I want to take this social amount. It is what you consume. It is what you put in now that you have. So things like that. I think it's a good one.
Okay. So if you're in diaspora and you're considering, I mean, it is just smart that you also pay tax in your country as well as you pay tax abroad. Now, you mentioned about small businesses the other time, and how, of course, how there's been an increase. Like now, if you earn up to 100 million, you can get zero tax. Now, let's look at the really small businesses. The new act also says that they now have to start using digital VAT tools. You have to do e-invoicing, fiscalization, and all of that to help. But are we sure that informal economies can cope? I mean, the average woman selling fish in Bodija market, what will she do concerning these digital VAT tools?
Thank you very much. That may not be too easy to come by, but if you set your mind on something, that is where they can achieve it. Initially, there was supposed to be a presumptive tax too, that all this barbing salon, whatever, but they could not get it done with, because, like you said, most of them, they are not even aware. There's not enough awareness. That's one thing that I think the Nigerian Revenue Service now, formerly FIRS, they need to do. They need to do a stakeholders meeting regularly. Create awareness. Let people know more. And with that, because they know that people will ask them to what they do with this tax revenue. Because in developed countries, for instance, they pay a lot of tax, more than we do here. But you can see what these funds are being used to. But now, it's even better now, because of your states now have 55% being given to them. That's why you see that the states are doing a lot now. Before, they don't have that kind of money. Even local government today have 35% of the allocation given to them. So they should be able to put in more. The roads, we should have good roads. If people have roads, electricity, even energy alone, if they could face that one alone, you know, all these barbing salon, all these areas, they will not even be buying fuel to service their systems. So they will be ready to pay whatever you ask them to pay. If they are using something that is free to them, that they can easily access, if you not give them some bill, this is the digital route, you have to do the invoice. Okay, maybe I can get, I'm not even thinking of how I'm going to get money to buy diesel or to buy petrol. That one is not part of my problem. So I can easily factor this portion into, and it will be minimal. they are trying to see that it will not be something that's going to be huge and maybe it will be on their minds. It will be something that is minimal that each and every one of them can. But if they see what they are benefiting in return, I'm sure they will keen to it. There.
Okay. Now let's also look at one of the juicy parts of the tax law, and that is the tax-free threshold for persons earning 800,000 naira per annum. Now, do you think that this adequately projects the low-income earners, especially in high-cost cities? Because if whoever is earning 800,000 naira per annum in a state like, let's say, Ekiti State, Kwara State, cannot be compared to somebody earning the same in Abuja, of course, or in Lagos.
I'm not even sure there will be somebody that is even earning that kind of per annum in Lagos. Because even when the federal government puts the minimum wage to 70,000, Lagos State gave them 85,000 or so. So 85,000 per annum is even more than this threshold. Because the factor means that cost of living there cannot be compared. It's okay. But it's even good that people that are in other cities that are not that high cost standard, they can at least breathe from this cost of tax. Cost tax is huge at times when you calculate it. Even the ones that if you grade it up, the 30 million, the 20, the kind of 15%, 21%, by the time you calculate it, it's huge. But then it's for people that are earning high. So I can understand that. But people that are earning less than 800,000, it's a good thing if they cannot pay tax. Let's just leave them out of tax. Recently, when federal government said they increased the minimum wage to 40,000 naira, they did it across board. There are some people that did not even get that 40,000 because tax took a whole lot. So, but if you know that you are not going to pay tax, at least you can be able to channel whatever. Even if it is 10,000 naira, 10,000 naira can still buy something in the market. As we are talking that things are quite high.
So now you said let the low-income earners breathe. Now, how will the low-income earners in urban cities breathe?
They have different things that they can juggle it with. They are not most of them. Especially Lagos. Lagos is like because anybody that you see in Lagos, even as a civil servant, you can be sure that when they get home, they are doing something maybe digital, which is what I preach to. Even if you don't have to be in Lagos State, even if you are in Ibadan or whatever, there are some things that you can do maybe remotely online or even in your small space, maybe at the weekends. Because it's not working again to say I now sit down and wait until I get my salary at the end of the month. Because salary doesn't take anybody home again. Somebody was saying that salary is true. Take home. Say this one is not take home again. It's take half. So I believe that even in Lagos, there are different opportunities in Lagos. You see them, business servants running Uber, running these services, anything. Right. They go, once you think that you won't go into something that is evil and criminal. Something that is evil, you don't put your hand in it. But what is right, whatever is going to put something extra on your table, please, my dear.
Okay, now that is interesting. Now let's take a look at the personal income tax. It's now hitting 25%. The question is, help us translate what that means. Does it mean that the average worker will be taking home less pay because now there are deductions, there are deductions from the money they are earning? Will income start shrinking?
It depends on that's why it's gradated. You can see it's not fixed.
Yes. Like
you said, 100, 800. But people that are earning between 2.2 million naira, they will pay a tax of 15%. That's where it starts. Because initially they give them when we are calculating taxes, there's a system we call consolidated relief allowance. They'll give them a certain amount that you remove. But now it's even been reduced. It's been removed. They even give them only 50% of their annual rent. And that is if you are even living in a rented house. If you are living in your own house too, they won't give you. So I think for the higher earning staff, their taxes may go up a bit. But I'm not sure it's going to be more. It is only when we start putting into paper. There are no people that end that exact amount. It may be a bit higher. So they will calculate the next one. They will calculate. It's not as if, like, where they write it, they wrote 800,000, 0%. Then the next 2.2, that means you are earning 3 million. Because they will have taken your first 800. Then the next, if you are earning more than that per annum.
Yes.
So it is when you now consolidate everything that you can see. But since they have removed the CRA, which is a consolidated relief allowance, it's going to be a bit higher for them compared to what they were earning before. But the 800,000 to first one is not being taxed too. Unlike before, when we have the 300,000 was taxed, the 300,000 before now, we have 7% for it. Another, the next 300,000, we have 11% for it. So maybe that one could now make up for the one that will be a bit high. So it is when we now sit down on it and let's see, maybe we juggle it. I'm not sure it's going to be much difference anyway.
Okay. Okay. Still talking about the direct benefits to individuals. This law has now increased tax exemption for job loss compensation from 10 million naira to 50 million naira. Now, explain to us how this benefits the average worker.
And that's the compensation for maybe injury or job loss. If you lose your job and you have that evidence that in the process of this you lost your job, so you even if you are trying to make some ends meet in the other places that will not have that kind of money, maybe 5 million, 6 million, you will not subject it to tax because you have evidence that you have recently lost a job, and this one that you are doing is just like taking maybe consultancy on the way within that same year that you have injury, you now have maybe income coming to your account. You know, when they want to do it, like I said, when they want to tax somebody, it's through your bank statement that you get your amount. So if you want to maybe travel after your loss of injury or accident or loss of job, you want to travel abroad and you want to take your tax certificate, tax client certificate, TCC or anything, and they don't see from your bank statement that so amount of money came into your bank, this should be taxed. We have evidence that I lost my job in this recent 1 year, 2 years. So up to 10 million, they will not tax it. Even if you don't have up to 10 million, that means you will not pay any tax at all.
Okay. I think that explains it because and again I think that's the part of hoping that all of this works and it works. That's perfect.
Just Nigeria. We are very good at policy making and everything. It's at the point of implementation that I pray that the law. But if we have people that are on ground now, I'm sure it's going to work. Yes.
Okay. Now there's a provision for tax ombudsman.
Yes.
To ensure that all of this works. Now, can you just share with us what citizens are to expect from this ombudsman?
The ombudsman is just like a form of arbiter or somebody like a representative. It's supposed to be a customer representative that can stand for you if you have issues with tax appeal. Tax tribunal. Normally we have a tax tribunal, which most people does not even go to. That's why I said most times in Nigeria we just take it that I don't want to go the extra mile. I don't want to even trouble myself. Do I even have the time? But yes, if you have evidences that this charge is exorbitant, you're not supposed to be charged this. You can approach the tax arbiter, the tax ombudsman. It's like an arbiter for issues that has to do with tax. That's and if you have your evidences, you have this is what we have paid, this is this, and then it will work in your favor. And in the act, they said it has been accustomed that the tax ombudsman should work in the favor of the customer. I pray so too. But most things in Nigeria, you do like, but we have to get there one day. We can't just sit there and say it doesn't work. It doesn't. No, let's make a move. Each and every one of us, we can do what we can do within the colors of our. Let's start. If somebody like me, or I know somebody that is enough, I'll just keep on praying for that person. It's going to work. Do the portion that you're supposed to do. You're supposed to do it, and we'll get there one day. Those countries that are developed, that are doing very well. It wasn't. They are not machine. They are not robots. They are individual. But our habits, our attitudes speaks a lot.
Okay. Now let's. Of course, we earlier we talked about the tax for multinationals and all of that. Now, looking at this whole tax reform, this whole act, in what way will this ensure a clampdown on tax evasion? I mean, before now, there have been complaints that, people don't pay tax. Even the average man, when you talk about tax, people don't, if given an option, people would not pay tax, except for persons working in organizations that is statutory. Your monies will be removed, but an average person, you ask them, have you done self-assessments? When last did you? And people are like, why should I pay tax? And all of that. Will this law, will it help to combat that issue of tax evasion?
I just pray so. One thing that I think is the problem with people don't see any need to pay tax is because, like I said earlier, they don't see what these funds are being put to use for. Okay. They don't see, they don't even, if I see in developed countries, for instance, for UK, almost 40%, 50% is paid as tax. But you see it, they provide everything for you. For in my area now, for the past 2 or 3 days now, we've not had light. I don't know what happened. They said something happened to the pole when there was a rain that came on last Thursday. Since that last Thursday, and they said we should not come and buy. If it's in London, they will not ask me to come and buy the poles. The government will such things. If it is straight like that, everybody can see what the monies are being put to use for. You won't even ask them before they say, okay, take my this is my, let me go and do my self-assessment, let me go and pay through the tax promise, let me go and make my payment. So for this now, the multinationals too, they are not really enjoying Nigeria. Most of them, there was a time they had to go even relocate to Ghana for Nesu. That if you want to see Nesu, for instance, Nesu financial statements online, it will take you to Nesu Ghana because they are overheads. Because of their overheads, they buy a lot of diesel, they buy this and buy that. Most of them relocate to where they can have less overhead costs. So for multinationals, whatever they can enjoy in Nigeria is if we can have these infrastructures in place. If you can have it in place, fuel, for instance, is up again. Diesel cost again is up. There is no light for them. So what are you not telling them? And then they will not come and pay high costs. So there's no way they will not try and see where they can move into maybe some areas, some jurisdiction that have less activity, less tax, less overhead cost to them, and they will still have their profits. They will still sell their products anyway. They can even bring their products back to Nigeria. The fact that there's a market in Nigeria for those products, they can even bring it back again through the ship or through the air, and they will make their profits. But the purpose of the issue of tax evasion is because the FIRS, the NRS now, they're not doing enough. They need to do more than what they are doing. Number one, they need to go out, let people be aware that these are the taxes to be paid. Like this one is very clear. Everybody is hearing about taxes for, but it's because it's newly signed. Within the last 3 weeks, everything will just go down here. Let's keep the tempo up. Let's go into the different places, maybe marketplaces anywhere. Do awareness. Then let's have, okay, what are your needs here? You cannot meet the needs. Human wants their insatiable, like we know. Yes. But at least let's start doing little things that they can do. Now the government is doing whatever they can do because Nigeria is a bit complex. We have different things that we are partnering with. Yes. But let's start somewhere. We start with they said a step of 1,000 years, start with a step or whatever, journey of 1,000 years, start with a step. Let's start somewhere. Let them tell them that these taxes that we are paying is what we want to do to you. Look at your road now. This road is not good. It's part of what we are supposed to do. The schools. I was surprised especially when somebody in my place was sick, and I said, let him go to where I work. He said he doesn't want to come to that hospital. He'll go to primary health care center. And they have drugs there. I was even amazed. So the primary health center, they still operate. That is one thing they should let people know. They don't have to go to the eye hospital. Go to the primary health center. If they don't have anything there, let there be maybe a suggestion box or somebody like a representative there that they can tell, we need this there. When people see all these things working, they will want to pay tax. They will not want to evade tax. But actually, they don't see. They will tell you what am I? Somebody like me, I pay about 100,000 naira a tax in a month. I just wonder, what do I gain from the government to pay that? But you don't have a choice because maybe because I work with the federal government, I don't have a choice. I will have to pay it. But then, what do I gain in return? There should be something of value.
Yes. Oh, I mean, that is absolutely right. Now, let's look at the implementation. Now, this law is set to kick off January 2026. Do you think that this is enough time for businesses and individuals to adjust and plan to comply?
We have 6 months. This is just June. July.
July.
So we have 6 months. Yes, businesses can comply if they want to. And once they see, that's why if they are the ombudsman, the people that are even at the end of their affair, once they are putting out all those policies, they will be putting in the juicy, like you said, you mentioned the juicy part. Once they see that as they have this other side, they have the juicy parts. Let's see how we can go. I'm sure it's going to work. Within 6 months, I'm sure it can work. Even the Nigerian Revenue Service alone, all those agencies, that is one thing that the one that I know, those agencies will not want to play ball like the wire, the JAMB, the NECO, all of them roll together that it's the NRS that will be collecting their revenue. That is one thing that I'm looking. Even NIPOS, the custom. But let's just see how it's going to work. But within 6 months, if they factor it well and they sit down, it should work.
Okay, I mean, just quickly, because you mentioned how all of the power is centralized. Now it looks like this law is giving a lot of tax authority to the federal level. Are you envisaging any battle between the federal and states concerning this tax law?
No, I don't think so. Initially, the ones that are under the states, they are still there. The state internal revenue service now is even autonomous. They generate their own revenue, but it's within the states. Companies that are under the states, they have their own jurisdiction. So I don't think there's going to be any battle. The only thing that, like I said, is all of these independent revenue generating agencies before, MDEs, that have been used to generating their revenue and then spending it. No, by the time they are not pulling together under one umbrella. Because whenever they now need funds, so that means they're going to justify what they need the fund for. That is what I think cannot be issues. But if they can sit down together, no, when we have implementation, you have implementation modules. You will still bring it out. Even looking at the act, you know, there are some like the Joint Revenue Board Act. It's about 248 pages.
Yes, yes.
So by the time you ask people that will sit down on it, you fathom out each and every one of it. How to go about it. It's not going to be a child's play. They will have the tax force on it. They have people that are on it, and they have penalty too. The penalties is there now. If you don't pay the tax that you're supposed to pay, it's even 100,000 naira the first month of default. No, things like that. When you put everything there, but the main important thing is let us see what this money is being used for, to be used judiciously.
Okay. Now, I mean, to help our viewers, we are going to be asking you for free consultancy. Now, what are honestly? So, what are the basic things that you feel like an average Nigerian should put in place as to prepare for this tax regime? Whether you are a salary earner, you are an entrepreneur, or you're a civil servant. So.
Of course, as a civil servant, for instance, doesn't need to do much because they will deduct the tax either you like it or not from source. But the civil servant that has another stream of income, we have different stream of income. You should make sure that you have separate bank statements for your salary accounts and your extra income. Because if you now need the services, maybe you want to travel, you need to get a tax line. I don't know if they get tax lines. Because somebody like me, I just use my payslip because it shows the tax shows there. So if you get it, once they take your bank statement, they will see that you are having money outside the salaries and you'll be taxed heavily. So if you have different businesses, then you have separate your business from your salary account, from whatever. Let every one of them go into different bank statement. So you have a bank statement for even your own salary not going to your businesses, even for small business owners. If you have your businesses and you now people give you donation, people give you gifts, whatever, the money goes into there. It's all along that it will be taxed. But let it be separate entity. You are a separate entity, your business is a separate entity. So when you have your business, have your so bank statement, bank in maybe any of the other bank. Let's have another one too, separate from your business. You are both separate entities. That will reduce your tax, because if you want to tax the business, they'll tax the business on the record revenue inside the bank of the business. If you want to tax you, they will tax you on your own income. So they will not tax you and you may not need the two at the same time anyway. When you need one, you may not need the other. So you just pay one and face your business. So when you lump it together, it gives you more tax, and you now start explaining, I know it's not this one, there's no need for that one. Although the tax consultant will tell you that. I have a tax consultant, for instance. I have a practicing license as an audit firm. I have my audit firm. But that is outside my work that I do now. That's why I say you need to do more now. We need to have one thing or the other that we can put in that can give us extra income. We need multiple sources of streams of income. Not only in Nigeria. Even people that are in UK, all of our children that travel for masters or so, they are doing waiter, as they are doing waiter, they are doing laundry, they are washing their plates in there. You see them looking 4 or 5 businesses in a day. That's why they could even get that kind of money. I'm saying, she's making money. If you see the money he's sending, it's because he's putting everything together. But in Nigeria, you not say, no, I can't do that one, or this one is beneath me. It is only, don't steal. Don't do anything that is criminal. Don't do anything that is evil. But once you see that this is the business that, yes, you can do. There are some businesses that they ask all this tricycle. You can buy tricycle. They move, although it's tough. You have to ask somebody that is firm to be able to sit down and make sure that they remit your money to you every day. No, different businesses. But one thing is, make sure that your income are separated. The income from your business is on your separately. The income on your salary, if you are a salary earner, is separate. And for small businesses, they don't even charge them tax now. From what you say now, they are not even going to pay anything that is less than 100 million in a year.
You're not
and
paying.
It's reasonable because even how many people make 100 million in a year? It's only companies that are big, companies that are at least they have muscle, they can flex. But all these small businesses that are just trying to manage themselves, not even with all this cost of diesel, cost of fuel, cost of even the people that are working with you, all those apprentices, at times they will steal. Some of them will even steal from you. So when you sit down and look at all those costs, you hardly get to, even your bank statement hardly get to 1 million. But there's one thing that I noticed. Whether the Nigerian Tax Administration Act, they now said the financial institutions that have been empowered to remit to the government every customer that they say that cumulatively they have transactions of 25 million. That is one thing that I don't like, because the financial transaction institutions now, they have the right to not this to declare your account. Exactly, they will declare this client he has so which is not there before. It's only when they come, maybe if they come, the relevant tax authority come to your place. That is when they know maybe this is what you have, or they want to see it. But now it's not like that.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Babajide, for this conversation. I mean, it's obvious that there's a lot to unpack in this new act, and we hope that when all of this starts unveiling, and then we call on you, you would help us understand and make sense of it.
That's the implementation too.
Yes, definitely. So thank you very much for coming once again.
Thank you very much.
All right, you've heard it. Tax is not just, is more than just a legal obligation. It's a social contract, and as citizens, you should be willing and ready to be taxed, and then ensure that you pay your tax fairly and diligently. That's the motto we'll be taking on Frontline for this for today, and of course, we will be unpacking this tax reform, this tax laws as it unveils and as the implementation begins. So join us again tomorrow for another episode of Frontline. I am Adiola Adeguki.
Thank you.